Welcome to Business Nigeria, and I am 2J Andrews. Another quick look at the news relevant in the business and financial world. The Central Bank of Nigeria has said that it might delicense 3 banks. These banks were found to be short of the minimum 10% capital adequacy rate once the Treasury single account was implemented. The banks have been notified and have till June 2016 to recapitalize. And also, Sterling Bank has secured a $40 million facility from the Turkey Exim Bank. The bank plans to use the facility to support businesses and projects with Turkish origin. And of course, on the softer note, EcoBank Nigeria has unveiled an online marketplace, mymore.com.ng. The platform will host SMEs who do not have the funding to be able to build an e-commerce platform quite similar to that of, say, Alibaba and maybe Amazon, those who are actually doing and thriving well in that particular business. This is coming just days away from the shopper's favorite day, Black Friday. Now, over the weekend, the National Bureau of Statistics released job data for the third quarter of 2015. For the fourth consecutive time, unemployment numbers in Nigeria rose. The rate rose by 1.4 million people this time, represented a 9.9% increase. And now, on the other hand, the number of full-time employment increased by 1.52%. To review this, I am joined by BTVA's head of research at Adeboyega Olatide. But first, Tosi, let's see how the numbers came together.
The unemployment data has finally hit us. Now, let's look at the labor force population. The labor force population increased to 79.9 million. In the last quarter, that data was 74 million people. And also, the total number of the economically active population rose to 104.3 million people. And also, during this period, that is that of unemployment, we've seen that the unemployment rate in Q3 2015 rose, that it's currently at 9.9%. If you notice, Sergio, we can see a consistent rise in unemployment rate. And also, this goes further to tell you about there's an inverse relationship between the rise in unemployment rate and that of GDP. We're currently sitting down on an unemployment rate of 9.9%. This also goes further to say that the number of unemployed people in the labor force increased by 1.4 million people. You know, 1.9 million people were added to the labor force. That is what we saw in the last slide. However, a net creation of jobs was 429,000. That was not enough to offset the new entrants we saw into the labor market, and hence we're having an unemployment rate of 9.9%. Let's take a quick look at the underemployment rate. Positively, the underemployment rate dropped marginally. It went from 18.3% in second quarter 2015 to 17.4% in third quarter 2015. The National Bureau of Statistics attests that this marginal drop is because of the seasonal jobs we've seen, like that of the farmers and that of idle people that have now,
coming to the market.
Exactly, coming to the market. And also, let's take a look at how it has fared across the age group. Interestingly, about 50% of the underemployment and unemployment is accounted for by the youth, that is people between the ages of 15 to 34. This also attests to the high youth unemployment and high youth underemployment. They account for the largest proportion of the underemployment and unemployment in Nigeria. And also, the next slide, we see that of unemployed across the sexes, that is the gender. The women are always, they have a higher unemployment rate, both for underemployment and that of unemployment.
Just getting some clarification to those to that data. Basically, you need to also understand that for you to be fully employed, or for you to be in the labor force, you have to be someone who is looking for, who is available for jobs and actively seeking for employment. So it is not the entire population. The labor force is about 75 million. Yeah, not the entire 170 million. Because when you see 9.9, some people tend to go crazy about that number. But basically, I'm trying to find out how this affected us in terms of money. What do we think we have lost? Because I just sent a text message to the Statistician General, Dr. Yemi Kale, asking what exactly were the number of people who lost their jobs between Q2 and Q3? Because we need to put that in context to be able to, tie that to GDP lost in terms of, I mean, salaries earned, consumer spending falling, and the rest. But are there other numbers that...
I mean, talking about us having to know the number of people who lost their job, that would be quite tricky because according to the data, it gives us the number of people that entered the workforce, that is 1.9 million people, and the net job created, that is 429. Then we can ascertain what the unemployment rate is. But to get the net number of people that lost their job from Q2 to Q3, I guess we have to follow up with the statistician as to
yes, we will follow that up. And also another thing that we saw was that a lot of farmers who had been underemployed before this harvest season, because the harvest season has come, now have longer
some type of unemployment
time to work, so they've shifted into the fully employed class.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but that would only last for, but that's seasonality, so that you expect that to last until when, maybe April?
True. So basically, we're seeing the labor force expanding, but the number of jobs being created significantly staying stable.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I did some numbers a little while ago, and I said if we were going to employ all the people in Nigeria by the rate which we're employing now, if we're going to employ every single unemployed Nigerian, it will probably take us close to 40 years.
Why would you say that, though?
I mean, if we're going by the same number.
The same growth. The same growth.
Yeah. Relatively, quarter on quarter, it's about 400,000.
Yes.
I mean, that's the average rate.
Yeah. Average job created. Yes, net job created, 400,000.
Well, I mean, the MPC, then the federal government also needs to look at this because, I mean, it is an issue with widening unemployment. You get to ask the questions of insurgencies. If people do not have jobs, they will... The idle mind, as
part of it is also, if you look at it from an economic standpoint, you would expect that how jobs are particularly created is usually SMEs, small companies, basically. Now, SMEs are usually the key drivers, can be the key drivers in terms of employment. Right now, a lot of work has been done to try and get more people to establish SMEs to ensure that there's funding. So once you have that, you expect there to be a multiplier effect. Once more people start working, no matter how small or how minuscule salaries or wages might be in comparison to what people feel they should earn, it's the fact that you're still gainfully employed is something. There's still a multiplier effect on that.
Well, luckily, the three of us are still in that employment class. Thank you very much, Tosi.
Thank you,
and
Tosi.
Also, thank you, Boyega. Let's hope that we can begin to see the real economic developments trickle down to employment data, perhaps starting first quarter in 2016. Keep watching Business Nigeria.